I had told my ex, I was like, oh, like, can you tell your mom to delete this video? Like, I really don't want it on the internet. And then she's like, oh yeah, I'll tell my mom. And she told her mom, and her mom was like, no, I'm not gonna take it down.
What is up, everyone? I'm your host, Alannized, and this is Noche de Pendejadas, your favorite podcast turned talk show en donde yo te traigo a tus influencers favoritos para platicar y posiblemente sacarles sus trapitos al sol. Hoy les tengo un episodio que yo sé que allá en casita están súper emocionados de escuchar y ver. So without any further ado, please help me welcome my guest tonight, Maricsa! Hello! How are you?
I'm good.
You're a little nervous.
Yeah.
Tiene un poquito de nervios, amigas, pero le digo que en un ratito se le van a quitar en cuanto empiece la plática. Before we get started, can we just talk about how many people have been waiting for this episode? The amount of comments, you guys, que he visto in my videos, in your videos, diciendo, Alan, tráela.
Like all my mentions.
Literally, all my mentions are full with tráela. And I was like, you know what? Tanto que andan chingando, se las voy a traer. Estoy súper emocionado por poder conocerte un poquito más, en verdad, quién eres tú como persona. Y obviamente yo sé que allá en casita están súper ansiosos de escuchar tu parte because, you know, with everything going on online, han estado esperando your part. But before we get started, ¿cómo te sientes? Cuéntanos.
I'm feeling good, feeling nervous. I can't believe it, honestly.
Está un poquito nerviosa, amigas. Wait, before we get started con el chisme, con toda la plática, amigas, you flew in last night. Era tu primera vez volando. How was that?
It was scary. It was my first time flying. I honestly thought that the airports were going to be a lot more complicated, but it was like whatever. When we were on the plane, there was like a lot of turbulence, and I got window seat, so like every time the plane would tilt, like I'd see it and I'd be like, oh my god, like don't look, like I'm scared, like it's gonna fall.
You're like, I'm not even gonna make it.
I'm like, Alan, I'm so sorry.
No, you guys, I was so scared. Well, not really scared for anything happening on the plane. I was scared for you not making it, for you to have trouble even boarding on, because a day prior, I was trying to get her like set up with like your Apple Wallet para que pudiera poner sus tickets like on her phone so she can just show up and scan it. But you weren't able to like figure it out, huh?
I was stressing. I was like, oh my god.
You're like, ¿cómo le hago? Tengo los
That's
boletos.
why I texted you. I was like, I can't put them in my wallet.
Were you able to do it the next day?
Yes, I was.
I did see you brought your peluche. Is that like a comfort thing?
Yes, that's my bunny. I should have brought her.
You should have. La hubiera sentado right next to you.
I love my bunny. I made a TikTok and I put like, it was like the I love trend. Have you seen it? And I put my bunny as one of the things, and I'm like, oh my god, you have a bunny? And I'm like, it's
a peluche. Literally.
Like,
when did you get that bunny?
I got her, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago at Walmart.
And it just became like a comfort thing?
Yeah.
So duermes con él y todo eso?
Like,
you know
I had to bring her.
But you know what? I don't judge you guys porque yo también, like at my grown-ass age, I still sleep with a teddy bear. My boyfriend...
The one that he restored?
Yes, that one, but my boyfriend también. Danny exposed me about that one, but Danny sleeps with a Build-A-Bear. I got him when we first started dating. That Build-A-Bear parece que se lo pasó por el culo, amigas, because it's so dirty. Like, it's so dirty, and I literally told him 2 days ago, I was like, babe, your Build-A-Bear is so dirty, maybe we should watch. And he's like, don't touch it. I like it like that. And I was like, okay, dirty bitch. Like, all right. But he says that it gives him comfort because I don't know, he said que le gusta dormir con él. Abraza más el muñeco que a mí.
Oh.
Literally. And I'm like, all right, that's a red flag. But you know what is cute? Literally, I'm like, I'm about to break up. But you know what I think is so cute though? It has like a little voice of me saying, I love you, baby. And I swear to God, you guys, every single night before we go to sleep, he like pushes it. And it still works. I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of like fading away a little bit. And I told Danny, I was like, oh, we should probably go and get like a new little sonidito. So like we can, you know, so it can be updated and it can still sonar bien. Because it's literally like very like, you can barely distinguish what it's saying. Because you know when you've had them for so long, ya como que pierde la voz. But lo bueno que lo tiene, amigas. But I did see that and I was like, Moor, that is so me. Comment down below, amigas, si ustedes también tienen like a comfort peluche. Wait, so you bought it, no one gave it to you?
No, yeah. I think my mom bought it for me.
Oh,
Or
that
I
was
made her
cute.
buy it for me.
That's really cute. I like that. Antes de que empecemos con toda la plática, amigas, yo le voy a dar el micrófono a ella para que nos diga un poquito más de quién eres y qué haces.
Hi, my name's Maricsa. I'm 18 years old. I'm from a city up north called Modesto, California. And I'm trying to become a content creator.
You've been posting a lot recently, huh?
Yeah.
Do you like posting or no?
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. I feel like once you get like the hang of social media, como que te adictas. You're like, oh my God, I want to keep posting. I want to keep posting. And I love that, you guys. Every single time I see her TikToks, I ando en picada, amigas. And I'm so excited de poder tenerla aquí, amigas, para conocerla un poquito más. Ya vamos a empezar con el chisme del día de hoy. Voy a empezar con la pregunta that I love starting with because I feel like it is very important to really get to know who you were before you even got on social media, how you were growing up, because all that really does, contribute to the person you are today. So vamos a empezar con la pregunta that I always start off with. How were you growing up? ¿Cómo fue tu infancia, amiga?
I think I had a really good childhood. I grew up with 3 brothers, me being the youngest. I am the only girl. We grew up in a trailer park, which is one of the best things, honestly, that I think that could have happened. Really humble beginnings. Yeah, I just think it was beautiful.
What was it like growing up being the only girl? Did they spoil you more because eras como la princesita de la casa? What was that like?
I want to say yes and no. My brothers always say like, yeah, mom always got you everything, this and that. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm like, she didn't give me that $1 once.
Literally. You're like, I remember. So you can't say she got me everything. Literally.
No, yeah. Being an only girl was cool, but it was, I wouldn't say hard because like my brothers would like bully me because I was the only girl. Definitely tough love, but yeah, we'd always be fighting and stuff. And then when I started getting into dating, they were like,
you're like, who are you dating?
No, literally, it was a whole thing.
A tus 6 años, your dad was deported. Cuéntanos un poquito de eso, cómo pasó, and cómo te diste cuenta de la deportación tú.
I was 6 years old. I don't think I fully realized until I was older what was actually happening. I just remember that I think he was going on a trip to work and he just didn't come back. And I was like, oh, like, where's my dad? Like, where is he? And then I don't know if like little me just got the hint, but he'd always call us. And I feel like I knew that something was wrong because he'd call us and I'd just start crying. Because I was really attached to my dad. So it was like, it was so sad. Honestly, I feel like it took me years to actually talk to him on the phone because I was like, where are you? Like, I need you, but I can't have you type of thing.
Do you remember like the moment where your mom sat you down and was like, mija, era esto lo que pasó? Your dad was actually deported. Did you have a moment where it finally like hit you?
Well, my mom never like sat me down and told me. It was just, I think I just put 2 and 2 together eventually.
Obviamente no crecer con tu papá, does change, your life completely. How do you feel like not having him present in your life changed not just yours, but your whole family's life?
I feel like it changed, or at least how, like, my point of view is I was such a daddy's girl when I was little, like, the time that he was there. And then after, like, my mom had to start working because my dad was, like, the one working. I want to say, like, it was just me and my siblings. My dad wasn't there. My mom was always at work. I feel like that, like, changed me in a way because, well, am I gonna cry? I'm just kidding. Whew. I feel like that changed me in a way because my mom never really showed me how to be girly. So I started being like a tomboy.
Yeah.
And then my mom like didn't like that because she was like, oh, like, why are you dressing like that? And I was like, that's all I know. Like, I'm growing up with my brothers, you know? Like, what am I supposed to do? I felt like basically both of my parents weren't present, but like they were, but they weren't, Like, it was kind of bad because like when I first started my period, I didn't even know what it was. Because, like, my mom had never told me. You know how, like, Mexican people are. Like, they don't tell you. They tiptoe around it. And then I was like, oh, my God. Like, I couldn't tell my brothers because that was weird, And then...
You never brought it up to your mom? You're like, oh, my God, Mom, I'm bleeding. I'm dying.
No, I didn't.
So you just kind of figured it out by yourself?
Yeah.
How?
Online. I was like, what is this?
Like, why am I bleeding?
No.
Literally. What do you feel like was the hardest part, of not having your dad present in your life?
I feel like this would go for anybody that doesn't have, like, either parent or, like, parents in general. It's seeing everybody, like, do, like, the Father's Day stuff or stuff like that. Or like, I remember one time at school they had like oh, bring your dad to school day, and I was like, well, I can't, like him not being able to come to like, just like, I feel like my main events, like my high school graduation, middle school, and then like recently too.
¿Nunca regresó tu mamá para atrás?
No.
How was that? Obviamente, you start having little communication with your dad. Nos cuentas. It took you years to start talking to him on the phone because you would cry. Did you ever feel like you almost kind of disconnected from him?
I definitely learned how to live without him, and then we'd talk on the phone and stuff, and it's like I know he's my dad. I love him. Like I'd do anything for him, but like it's like we know each other, but we don't at the same time.
Yeah.
Like the distance is like I feel like is the problem, obviously. And it's not like we can just go like whenever we want to.
Yeah.
We recently went to go visit him. I think it was in the beginning of November. I hadn't seen him, I want to say, since 2021. Before that, I hadn't seen him since I was 6 years old. So I went for my 15th birthday. That's like almost whole 10 years that I hadn't seen my dad. I feel like because when I was little, I was probably like, like, like it's a call, But like now that I'm older and he's getting older, I'm like, I need to start talking to him more. Because, like, he's not going to be here forever, sadly,
How was it like the first time you went for your 15? Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso. Were you excited? Paint us a picture. Yo quiero sentirme como que si estoy ahí en ese momento, Obviously, tu mamá te dice, vamos a ir a México para tus 15.
My mom didn't go.
Your mom didn't go? Okay. No. Tú te vas a México para tus 15 allá. Was that nerve-wracking? Like, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go meet my dad, but I really don't know him like that.
No.
What was that like?
Well, I actually went with my brother, both of my brothers. We went on the Greyhound buses. It was crazy because I was like, oh my God, like you're here, like, like it's not like I'm seeing you like on FaceTime anymore. It was a bittersweet moment. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry, no. Like when I seen him again after, it was like 6-year-old me just came out. And then when I went, like, no me dejaba de abrazar, me estaba dando besos y todo. And I was like, oh, I missed you so much, like, this is what I needed, like, my whole life.
Nos cuentas, that you guys stopped seeing each other for another, 15 to now 3 years. Y acabas de ir. How was this time? Do you feel like, now that you're going more often, your guys' relationship is starting to, like, pick up again?
No, yes, definitely. I feel like I can be more open with him and talk about, like, more things with him. Because I feel like he was really stuck on like, oh, like you're a little girl. He kind of didn't understand me, like where I was coming from, because like I didn't have him there. So like I guess you can say like he didn't know what we were going through over here because he was over there, and it was just hard, honestly. And then now he's like, okay, like you're growing up, like you have to like explore, like do what you want, basically.
How do you feel like, not having your dad present affected you guys financially? Do you feel like you saw, your mom go through like rough patches or like trying to work to make ends meet because she no longer had your dad providing?
No, yeah, I definitely saw my mom working hard because my dad was a field worker and my mom started working in the fields too. And I'm like being a field worker is hard, is a hard job. And then being a woman doing that to like provide for 4 kids by yourself, like that's a lot. I give my mom a lot of props for that because I don't think I'd be able to work in the fields and do that personally.
You saw your mom struggle and you saw your mom work. Do you feel like because of that, your relationship with your mom became stronger because you appreciated and saw everything she was doing for you and your siblings?
Yeah, our relationship definitely, I feel like, got stronger because I always understood her. Because, like, every time she'd be like, oh, like, no tengo dinero para comprarte esto. And I'd be like, oh, okay, like, I get it.
Yeah.
And, like, her herself, like, she's always told me that she's like, I'm really, like, basically thankful that you, like, understood, like, me. Especially, like, I was little. Like, having to, like, understand that is, like...
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes because as kids, we can be brats and, like, not really realize what's going on.
I feel like I've always known that we were, like, less fortunate. Regardless what me and my family went through, like the deportation stuff, I feel like it really shaped us in how we are, like how we are connected. I feel like it made us really appreciate our parents, like not having them like around, like you really take them for granted. Thankfully, I still have my mom with me. We get into it like a lot, but she knows I love her and she knows that I'd literally do anything for her because all the sacrifices that she did for me and my brothers, like, all this time and still now, it's crazy. Like, she's so strong. for losing her husband and then having to be a single mom with four kids.
Do you feel like because you were always, home with your brothers, do you feel like it made your guys' relationship stronger?
I feel like yes and no. Well, no, yeah. Like I always knew that I was different. Like I always wanted to like do rough things and stuff like that. My mom would always be like, "No, like you're a girl, you can't do that." And I'd be like, you know? So I'd always like play around with my brothers, fight with them, and like play video games with them and everything. I feel like that definitely brought us closer. One of the funniest memories that I have when I was little is one time me and my family we went to go eat mariscos and tacos. There was like a lonchera on one side that was mariscos and another lonchera on the other side that was tacos. My family was sitting on the mariscos side and then my dad was like, "Oh, like ¿qué quieres de comer? Like do you want like mariscos?" And I was like, "No, like I want some tacos." So I went, like I ordered them myself. I got them and I was so freaking excited for my tacos. And I was holding them and I was like so excited to go eat. So I started running. I remember there were two tacos. They were plain, like la pura carne. And I was so excited. I was literally holding them and I was like, I'm so excited. Like I'm going to eat these. And I started running. And I was like, I'm so excited to eat these. So I started running. And then next thing you know, just right on my face.
Wait, you tripped on something?
Yes. Y se me cayeron los tacos. And I was like,
Y no comiste. You're like, el piso comió los tacos.
Like, I starved. I'm just kidding. No, I was crying. It was so bad. I started crying, and my dad was like, "No, está bien, vamos a agarrarte otros." And it was like, my brother never lets me forget that story. Like, every time he meets, like, one of my friends or something, that's the first story that you'll hear.
Isn't it funny how the people we love the most are often the hardest to shop for? Luckily, there's one gift that everyone on your list is sure to enjoy: an Aura digital picture frame. Named number one by Wirecutter, Aura frames make it incredibly easy to share unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to a frame. And when you give an Aura frame as a gift, you can personalize and preload it with a thoughtful message and photos using the Aura app, making it an ideal present for long distance loved ones. It's a gift so special, they'll use it every day. I love Aura frames because you guys know I love taking pictures con mis amigos, con mi familia, y pues de yo mismo, amigas. Y ustedes saben that I love to display my pictures, and what better way than with my Aura frames. Hace poco tuve un Friendsmas y no van a creer, amigas, tuve todos mis amistades entretenidos looking through all the pictures that I had loaded onto my Aura frame. I love my Aura frames, you guys, because not only does it make for a really cute decorational piece in your house, but it also makes it a really fun one. Y sé que también les va a gustar a ustedes. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Alannized at checkout. That's Aura, A-U-R-A, frames.com, promo code Alannized. This deal is an exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply.
Hablando de la relación con tus hermanos, quiero platicar de algo un poquito más sensible. A tus 14 años fallece tu hermano. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso. ¿Qué es lo que pasó? ¿Cómo te das cuenta tú de lo que había pasado? And how did you react?
I remember it all started because he had this pain in his back. And then we were like, "Oh, like, what is it?" We went to, like, the doctors and stuff, and they would say, like, "Oh, like, it's nothing, you know?" Well, my mom ended up taking him to another hospital, and then I think they took out, like, something, cause it was, like, a specific place in his back. And, like, le tenían que sacar un pedacito de carne to, like, test it. And they did, and then that's when they found out he had cancer. And we were like, oh, my God. It was just really devastating because I feel like our family, like, didn't have anybody that had went through that or anything. Like, we didn't know how, like nobody knows how to deal with it. So he finds out he has cancer. He tells my mom, and then, like, we find out. At the time, it wasn't, I guess, anything really serious. So they just sent him home with us. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I don't wanna cry. They sent him back home with us, and then I remember this was like when COVID was hitting. Like, this happened in 2020. COVID was hitting, and then at the time, me and him, we shared a room. I remember one night I was playing Among Us 2020, so I was playing Among Us on my phone, and it was already like, it was so late. It was probably like midnight. He wakes up and he tells me, he's like, "Oh, like, go to sleep already." And I was like, "Okay, like, yeah, like, I will." So, like, yo, me pongo a acostar. And then he just tells me, he was like, "Oh, go call mom." And I was like, why? And because it was like the middle of the night, you know. I was like, oh, like I can help you, you know, like if anything. And he was like, oh no, like go call your mom. And I was like, okay. So I went to go call my mom, and then, ooh, I want to go call my mom, and then my mom comes, and then he's like, I can't breathe. He was like, no puedo respirar. And we were like, what? Like, what do you mean? I was panicking because I'm like 14, don't know what to do. And then my mom was like, call the ambulance. And I was like, I can't. Like, I can't.
Like you froze?
Yeah, like, oh, yeah. And it was like, you know, like I had never done that before. Like, I called the ambulance, you know, like I tried to, you know, do as much as I could. The ambulance got there. They were like, oh, like, we're going to take him, but no one can go with him because it was COVID. So he had to go by himself. And that was the last time I seen him alive. It was that night. And I did not know that. Ooh, I don't want to cry.
How long was he in the hospital after that night before he passed away?
A week.
What was it like when you guys got the call from the hospital, like, hey, you know what? He didn't make it.
Well, before that, I think it was like 2 days before, because we couldn't go visit him.
Yeah.
Like, it was just bad timing with everything.
Just to like FaceTimes, no?
Yeah, we did that. We did a FaceTime, and then they were like, oh, like he's getting better, like, you know, like have faith, have hope, like he's getting better. And then, ooh, I don't want to cry. They're telling us that he's getting better. I think that morning they had told him like, oh, like he's doing good. And then like a couple hours later they were like, oh, like you guys need to come, like he might not make it. And we were like, oh my God. We get to the hospital, and then my mom and my older brother go, because I think they were only letting like 2 people go. My brother got there, and he was like, no, like we have to go, like this is our brother. So we went, and when we got there it was already too late.
Ya había fallecido.
He had already passed away. It was so bad. It like broke me a lot because he had just like moved back in, and we were getting really close. And he was like telling me stuff. Like he would like also realize, because I was 14, like he knew like I was already gonna get older, I was gonna start exploring new things and stuff like that. And he'd always just talk to me about things like about life and stuff. And that's what hurt a lot, because I guess I was never really close to any of my brothers until like he moved in, because I'm 18. It just broke me really, because I feel like I wouldn't necessarily say he was the glue to our family, but I feel like he was at the same time. He was always different than all of us. Like he was like just such a jokester, such a family person and stuff. He's also one of the reasons why I like making a lot of jokes too. Like me and my brother, we always joke around like always, like every day. And I like that, like always brings me back like a little piece of my brother.
Did he go through chemo, or what type of cancer did he have?
Testicle cancer. It started there, and then it just went like to his lungs, and then that's when he like stopped breathing and stuff. I think he just went through one session of chemo. Oh, 2 sessions of chemo.
¿Cómo viste a tu mamá que le afectó la muerte de tu hermano? Did you feel like it really hit her heart too?
No, yeah, it was bad. It was bad on all of us. But I feel like seeing my mom like that, it was like something else. It was, you know, like being there and then seeing how much she was crying for her son. It's like something I don't wish on anybody. I feel like no one should ever go through a loss of a sibling or losing a child. Because seeing the pain that my mom went through, like, she's so strong for that. Like, I feel like I couldn't. I feel like the only reason why she continued is because she had me. Because I was still little.
Being so little, how do you feel like you were able to cope with the loss of your brother? Do you feel like you did specific things? Or how was just the whole, grieving process for you? Do you feel like le batallaste mucho to aceptar the fact that your brother was no longer, with you guys?
No, yeah. It took me so long to, like, accept it. I didn't fully accept it until earlier this year. Like, it was so bad. I want to say I honestly became delusional, because I was like, no, like, because he used to live, I want to say like an hour, 30 minutes away from us.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, he's just at home. Like he's just at home, like, like he'll come one day.
I think a part of grieving is being a little delulu. Te lo digo porque yo también, yo perdí a mi abuelito.
I know, I feel that.
6 months ago, literally like 2 days ago. I always say that the reason why I've been able to like still continue going is because él falleció en Mexico, right? Y como te estaba contando, you know, I don't have papers either, so I didn't get to see him like that last time before him passing away. And even till this day, like I'll still mentally think like, oh, va a regresar. Un día de estos va a venir de Mexico and he's gonna open my house door and say hello. You know, it's even gotten so bad, you guys, that on my sister's birthday, fuimos a comer, right? Fuimos yo, mi familia, and my grandma was there. And I sat next to my grandma just to kind of like platicar con ella. And I stopped myself because I was about to ask her like, oh, ¿y cómo está mi abuelito? Like, you know what I mean? Because like sometimes you kind of do have to like make your brain and mind think like, oh, they're still here.
I feel like I was just in an awkward spot because COVID was happening. I was about to start high school. Like it was just, I don't know.
Do you feel like it even made it harder for you to like, you know, really focus on you? En el aspecto de que you're like, oh shit, like I'm trying to figure out who I am as a person. You know, you're entering high school, which is a very prominent time of your life, but you're also going through so much shit, you know, at home.
No, yeah, it was so bad. Like I remember sometimes I'd just be on my phone and I'd just see like one sad TikTok and I was bawling and I'd go tell my mom and I'd be like, Mom, like I miss him. Like I really do. Like, ooh. I'd always tell her to bring him back, even though I knew she couldn't. And it was so bad because I was so religious until that point. I stopped believing in God for so long because like when we found out about everything, I'd like pray to him like every night, like you know, just let him live, just let him live. And obviously he didn't. I turned away from God for so long, for like these entire 4 years.
Yeah.
Like I recently just started getting into him because I was like, you know.
Like if you were real, why would you let that happen?
No,
Type of
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
That and some other stuff just really made me realize, like, you know, like it just had to happen. Like, you know, life just had to go that way.
You know, you just started accepting the fact that your brother was no longer here this year. Do you remember that moment for you? Like, do you remember where you're like, oh, you know what? Like, I got to stop, you know, not accepting it. Do you remember that moment specifically?
When I was going to graduate high school, I was inviting like my family, and then I was like, he's not going to come. Like as much as I want him to, he's not going to come. I feel like that's what really got me because him and my brother that's right here, they'd always come to my events. Like anything that I had, like them to, they'd always come. It's just that time, it was just like he wasn't there. Everybody says time heals, but I feel like it doesn't, like with certain things. Because like this, I feel like I'll never heal from it. He was such an important piece in my life, and to get it wiped away from one day to another is crazy. I just feel like you just have to slowly accept it. Like, they're always gonna be there even though they're not here. Like, that's what I came to realization. Like, he's here, not physically, but he's always here. Sometimes, like, when I'm praying and stuff, like, because I pray every night. Like, I literally just started praying every night. I'll stop praying to God, and then I'll be like, okay, like, I'm gonna talk to my brother now. And I'm always like, oh, like I tell him about my day, like what I did. Like I told him about this and everything. Like in my head, he's like, oh yeah, like that's so cool, this and that. And then like I start cracking jokes with him.
Oh.
Like even though like I know you can't let them die. Like you have to keep them alive, like one way or another.
Have you ever had a moment where you have felt him like, not physically, but almost physically here, you know, como se escucha mucho de que, you know, if you're going through something and, you know, the signs of like, oh, I'm here watching over you. Have you had a moment like that?
Yeah, there was this one time where I was just going through it and I was praying to him and to God to just remove everything that was bad in my life. I was like, just remove everything that's bad, like just like, you know, take it away. And that's the night me and my ex broke up. It was definitely my brother and God. Because when I had accepted him, I had never prayed. Like, I was like, oh, you know, like, pa qué, you know? I remember I was in class, and I was like, I need to pray right now. I don't know why, but I need to pray right now. So I started praying. I was like, God, and I was talking to my brother. I was like, take anything away. Like, that's bad. Like, right now. And that's when we broke up that same night.
Like, you're like, this is a sign from
like,
God and
like
my brother.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is weird, but, like, me and my family, we just make random noises out of nowhere. Like, it's me, like, all of us, we all just do it. And sometimes, like, oh my God, I sound weird. I'm like, I just be making random noises. But, like, sometimes I'll hear something, I'm like, oh my God, he used to do that. Or, like, there was, like, a certain way that he'd laugh.
Yeah.
Every time I hear, like, someone laugh like that, I'm like, that's literally you. I feel like something else that reminds me a lot about him is Pokemons. He loved Pokemons. There was a specific one. I think it was Squirtle or Bulbasaur.
Uh-huh.
And I like never see those Pokemons anywhere. So every time I do see one, I'm like, you're right there. Like, you're with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's some of the most random times ever, too. Like, I remember, I don't even know where I was. I think I was at the mall. Like, at the mall where I'm from, there's a Hello Kitty store. They have, like, other stuff, too, like Minions and, like, you know, like, cosas así.
Like Soho, like those, like little stores.
See,
I know which one. Yeah.
Like, there was just one. I think it was, like, an ornament. And it was, like, I don't know if it was Bulbasaur or Squirtle. But I just seen it and I was like, oh, my God, that's you. Like, you're right here. I personally feel like my family just dealt with it, like, with each other. Like, I feel like our family definitely got closer because we're like, well, we can't take any of us for granted now. Personally, I feel like I just isolated myself a lot. I was just in my room. I didn't want to come out. I just be listening to music on my phone, like not like nothing's changed, but you know? And like YouTube would always just distract me. Like, I've always been a YouTube girly. Like, even though like there's a million shows out there, like nothing compares to YouTube in my head.
I do think distractions are very important, you know, like doing things that will kind of not make you forget about what's going on, but will keep you distracted en el sentido de que no tengas mucho tiempo para pensar en lo malo que está pasando. I feel like for sure me too, like, you know, with my grandpa's death, I feel like I've been keeping myself super busy. Literally last night, I was talking to my boyfriend and my friends. We were in mi casa. I kind of forget, but I was telling them, I was like, it's so crazy that the day I found out that my grandpa passed away, I literally still, after crying all day long, los ojos todos hinchados, I still came to the studio and filmed that day. Like, I had a podcast episode to film that day. And like now 6 months later, like that I think about it, I'm like, oh shit, like I can't believe I did
so
that.
strong.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know what it was, but you know what it was too? I think my grandpa was always very big on yo no los quiero ver tristes. So I feel like for me, when he did pass away, I feel like I would hear, because I was about to cancel that day. Like, I really was. I was going to be like, you know what? I can't do it. And it was going to be like a reasonable reason.
No,
but for
yeah.
some reason,
I remember watching that vlog. I couldn't get through it.
but for some reason, yo me dije, I was like, you know what? This is not what my grandpa would have wanted. I feel like it is very important when you're going through something this hard, you know, to keep yourself distracted and to really, you know, tenerlos en el corazón, pero seguir adelante, amigas. If any of you guys are, you know, going through anything similar or have gone through it and don't know how to navigate, just know, like you said, it doesn't get better, pero como que aprendes a vivir con ese vacío.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's like, you feel like you're here, but there's still like a little missing piece of you.
No, yeah. Definitely.
Today's episode is brought to you by Alma. Alma believes that therapy is more impactful when you feel heard and understood. That's why they help people find a therapist who really gets them, the right someone to talk to, not just anyone. Alma can help you find a therapist who gets you. When you browse the directory, you can filter by what you want to focus on, for example, anxiety, relationship, or big life transitions, as well as any preference around gender, sexuality, faith, and more. Alma can help you find a therapist who takes your insurance. People who find in-network care through Alma save an average of 77% on the cost of therapy. It's easy to get started with Alma. Browse the directory without creating an account or sharing payment information. You can book a free consultation call with any therapist you're interested in seeing. These 15-minute calls give you a chance to see if they're a good fit for you, so you can find someone you really click with. Even though I'm currently not in therapy, I know the importance of having someone in my life who truly understands where I'm coming from. For those of you guys that follow me, obviamente ustedes saben that the past month and a half has been one of the hardest months of my life, and going through everything I've been through this past month with my grandpa grandpa's passing, I wish I could have been in therapy prior and during the process to really help me kind of navigate these feelings of grief y todo lo que he estado sintiendo este último mes, amigas. Pero no es muy tarde to join therapy. If you've been considering finding a licensed professional to help you work through your own life challenges, give Alma a try. Alma can help you find the right therapist for you, not just anyone. Visit helloalma.com/Alan to get started and schedule a free consultation today. That's helloalma.com/Alan.
Quiero platicar un poquito de tu sexualidad. You know, a los 14, 15 años, you come out as bisexual. Y antes de que platiquemos about, you know, how you came out, can you remember like the first time en donde tú te sentiste que eras diferente, you know, compared to your friends or people around you when it came down to your sexuality?
Yeah, I feel like I always knew, but I felt like I just brushed it off. Like, I remember I had this friend in elementary school, and we were like best friends, and I'd always get her gifts. And I was like, and I didn't give no one else gifts.
Yeah.
And I was like literally, I was thinking about that like a couple weeks ago. I was like, why was I getting you gifts? I was like, I liked you. When I got older, I was just more like something's not wrong, but like something's not right, basically. I remember when I was little, I was watching a episode of Victorious, and then Jade just walked around the screen, and I was like, literally. And then I fell in love with Jade. Everybody was so into Beck, and then I was like, oh, but Jade. But everyone's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh yeah, Beck, you know? So I kind of like, I felt like I was not in denial, but I just try to hide it a lot.
Yeah. Were you scared?
I was scared.
Why?
Because for me, it was more like my mom having 4 kids, 3 sons and a daughter, me being the only girl, and to end up liking girls too, is like, that's kind of crazy.
Y luego también nos cuentas that your mom would kind of get mad at you for dressing like your brothers or being too brusca. Do you feel like you were also a little scared to kind of accept that because you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be accepted?
Yeah, that was really big thing. Because, you know, like, you know, they like always say stuff about like gay people. And then I was just like, well, until I was ready. Jade was really like an eye opener for me, that I was like, you know, when I was 14, 15 years old, I came out to like my whole family individually. I was in the car with my mom. We were going to the store, and I was going to therapy, and it was like my first day of therapy, and they're like, oh, like, what do you go by? Like, what's your sexuality and stuff? And I was like, oh, like, and then I was like, oh, like, I'm bisexual. That day we were going to the store, and I was like, Mom, I have to tell you something. Like, we were in the car, and then she was like, what? And I was like, I like girls and guys. And she was like, what? And I was like, she was like, no, you have to pick one. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I mean, it ended up working out because I ended up a lesbian. I remember I had texted my brother that passed away before he passed away. Obviously. I texted him, and then I was like, I have to tell you something. And I was crying. He was like, what's wrong? This and that. And then I was like, I'm bisexual. And he was like, oh, like, it's okay. Like, I don't care. Just don't do anything stupid. And I was like, okay. Like, they didn't really care.
Like, did you ever feel like anyone around you kind of didn't accept you?
My mom. I feel like my mom was always iffy about it. I'm like, now she doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, look at her. And I'm like, no, Mom. No.
Do you feel like at the beginning they probably thought it was just kind of like a stage that you were going through? Because, you know,
Yes.
se dice mucho, especially when, you know, kids are coming out, like you always hear the, oh, it's a stage. And it's like, no, babes, like I know what I like.
No, I feel like she was more like, that's not right. You can't do that. She was like, what are the people going to think? And I was like, I don't care what the people think. You know?
How did that make you feel?
I didn't feel sad, but I feel like it was just like, you're my mom, you know? Like, you're supposed to love me regardless type of thing. But I feel like she just needed time.
Yeah.
And then she got over it, really.
Do you remember like the moment where you felt like your mom was like, okay, yeah, I understand you?
I think it was when I was in my last relationship, when she seen how I was. Because she was like, oh, okay.
Like it's for reals.
Yeah.
You know, hablando de tu ex, quiero platicar un poquito de eso. Obviamente, we've seen everything that has happened online. Quiero platicar un poquito de eso, but before we get to, you know, the tea, quiero platicar de lo que pasó mucho antes de eso. ¿Cómo se conocieron tú y tu ex?
We met on Instagram, and I knew that we went to the same high school. And then COVID was still happening, and it was going to be sophomore year, and they were barely going to let us back on campus. And I was like, oh, like, hey, I know you go to my school, like, let's hang out, like, let's be friends. And she was like, oh, yeah, like, of course, you know? And then we hung out the first day of school, like, during lunch, and then we just started
Hit it
hanging.
off.
Yeah.
How would you describe the relationship at the beginning? Do you feel like, it was good, or was it already rocky since the beginning?
It was good. It was actually really good in the beginning. We just always had differences, like, in what we wanted type of thing. Since I was, like, her first relationship, I feel like she really didn't understand, like, how a relationship went. Not that it, like, has to go, like, a certain way, but, like, I feel like that was kind of, like, a little problem because she had, like, no experience with that.
Do you feel like there was like toxicness on both ends?
I feel like, yeah. Like, you've seen that there was this one friend, this one specific friend. When the relationship had first started, like a couple months later, her mom threw this Thanksgiving party. That's the first time I met her friends. And she has this one friend that just really rubbed me like the wrong way. Like, I don't know what it was, but you know, like when you just meet someone and you're
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. I met her, whatever, and I just didn't like her vibes. And then like a few months later, I told her, I was like, I don't like your friend. Like, I straight up just told her, like, I don't like her. Like, she gives me weird energy. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, can you cut her off? And then she was like, yeah, like, you know, whatever. She'd always do this thing with that girl specifically that they wouldn't talk for like months. And then out of nowhere, no mas, she'd text me, she's like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with her out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, like, why?
Yeah.
Like that makes me kind of comfortable, you know?
And very off guard too.
And
Yeah.
very off guard. And it was so last minute. It was like, say Friday, she's like, oh, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with her. And I'd always try to understand it, you know? But like, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'd crash out because like,
Yeah.
like, come on now. That happened a lot. Like, this probably happened like 3 times. I'd be like, oh, like, cut her off, this and that, you know? I remember one time, it was out of nowhere. She texted me. It was like, I don't know, 7 o'clock, I don't remember. She was like, oh, I'm gonna go have a sleepover. I was like, oh, with who? She was like, oh, with that one girl. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, you know, I don't like her and you're gonna go sleep at her house. You know, like, that's weird. Like, you're weird. I always tried to like hear her out, but like I just couldn't hear her out. Then one time, I don't know, I was being a little toxica, so I went through her phone. So I went through her phone, and then I seen that her and her friend were like texting, but I had seen that her friend was sending pictures of my ex to this girl, and then that's the girl she cheated on me with. And I was like, bro, like, your friend is weird. Like, why is she doing that, you know? My ex and that girl had history. Like, they used to talk, and that friend knew. And this wasn't the first time she had cheated. She cheated on me 4 times with that same girl. I had a gut feeling, like, always. And I'd be like, oh, like, something would be like, oh, like, check her phone. And I was like, okay. So almost every time that I did, it was like she was texting that girl. Like, it was so bad to the point where I had that number memorized in my phone, in my head. The first time I found out, I was like, damn.
How did you find out the first time?
She straight up just told me. She was like, I texted her. And I was like, dude, like, what'd you say? Like, you know, like, that's all I wanted to know. What'd you say? And then she was like, she told the girl, she was like, oh, you're so pretty. You're so perfect. I've never got over you, this and that. And her being in a whole committed relationship. At this point, we had already been together for a year. And I was like, bro, you're still on this? Like, that's crazy. I was dumb for, like, staying. But, like, you know, stuff happened. So, like, I stayed. And I feel like after that, I feel like I just became toxica low-key. I was just so worried for it to happen again. I would always crash out on her because I'd be like, bruh, like, what you're doing is weird, like, and you don't see that. The next time it happened, it was that sleepover. The girl that my ex used to talk to and her friend, they were friends. Like, I guess they were, like, close or whatever.
Yeah.
So during that sleepover, her friend was taking pictures of my ex and then sending them to that girl. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, you're hella weird for that. I seen that, and then I seen that she had that girl as a whole contact and everything, and I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, this is weird. After that, I feel like I would just crash out all the time.
Yeah.
Because I was just so scared for it to happen again, and it just did. It just kept happening.
Was it ever, like, a physical cheating?
No. But it was just like, why just that one girl? You know? Like, there's obviously something that you want or that you need from this one girl specifically. There's a ton of girls out there. A million of them. Well, billions of them, really. But it was just always that one girl.
And when you would confront her about it, ¿qué te decía ella?
She was like, oh, I don't know what I was doing. Like, I'm sorry, this and that. And multiple times, I was at her house when it happened. And I was like, bruh, like, no, like, you're dumb. Like,
Yeah.
I literally tell them, like, dude, you're dumb. Like, why are you doing this? The last time it happened was in September of this year. I found out on her grandma's birthday, and that's what made me sad. I was over at her house. I don't know, I just got weird vibes again. I was like, oh, can I see your phone? And she was like, yeah, here. And I was like, okay. I didn't find anything on her phone. We were all in the sala, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use your bathroom, and the bathroom was near her room. So I went to her room, and I got her iPad. And, you know, messages link up. And then I seen the phone number. I was like, oh, not again. I was like, not again.
Había borrado todo on the phone, but not on the iPad.
Not on the iPad. And she had texted the girl saying, like, oh, I have a message for you. Find a way to contact me and I'll tell you, basically. And I was like, after that, I was like, I sent her a picture. Like, I took a picture of it and I sent it to her. And I'm like, dude, like, are you serious? Like, again? And she had sent the girl a message, like, 2 days before I started school, like, in August. And I had barely found out. I just felt so dumb. Because I was like, why am I still here? I feel like as much as, like, people want to make me seem like the bad guy for crashing out and stuff, I really had a big reason to. I seen what I seen on the iPad, and then I sent her a picture. I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? This and that. She came, and then she hugged me. She was like, I'm sorry, this and that. And I was like, dude, no, like, you need to stop. Her mom walked in, and then she was like, oh, like, what happened? And I was like, your daughter cheated on me again. She knew that she had cheated on me before.
La mamá.
Yeah. And then her mom, like, told her stuff like, why are you doing this? You know, like, if this is not what you want, then why are you here? This and that. And I was dumb, and I forgave her again. And then I remember, like, before, like, a week before, 2 weeks before our relationship ended, she was like, oh, like, I really miss my friends. Because I was being toxica and being like, dude, like, your friends are not to be trusted. Like, literally. It was just that one friend, too. Like, not even that she wanted any of her other friends, just that one girl. She was just like, oh, like, I miss her. Like, you know, like, we've been friends, like, since forever. And I was like, yeah, but she's weird. Like, why is she sending pictures of you to your, like, old talking stage? Like, that's weird. Like, who does that? And she was like, yeah, I know, but, like, she probably changed. And I was like, yeah, she could have, but, like, I'm not going to forgive her for that.
Yeah.
And then I literally told her, I was like, if you become friends with her, like, I'm breaking up with you. Like, I straight up told her. Like, we were always, like, send picture type of person. I was like, oh, like, have you done your homework? You know, because I knew, like, she started school, so I was like, you know, like, oh, like, you know, do your homework type of thing. And then she was like, oh, yeah, I'm doing it right now. And I was like, oh, just send me a pic. She was like, oh, yeah, give me a second. And I was like, okay. And I kept asking her. And then I was like, dude, like, why don't you send me a picture? Like, it's just a picture. And we had each other's locations, like, on Life 360. So I go on Life 360 and it's like, location is paused. I was like, hello? Like, what are you doing? And then I go on the iMessage one and I look and I knew exactly where she was at because I had been at that girl's house, like, one time. And I seen it and my heart dropped. I was like, damn, like, that's crazy. Like, why would you do that? Before she knew that I knew where she was at, I called her, I FaceTimed her. And she just answered. Like, I recognized the room that she was in. And I was like, bruh, like, why? And I was like, dude, like, what are you doing there? And I was like, I told you, like if you became friends with this girl again, like, I'm gonna break up with you. But she was like, why does it have to be that way? And I was like, because of, like, stuff that you do, like, you know? And then she was like, no, like, she's not like that anymore, this and that. And I was like, I don't care if she's not like that anymore. Like, you know, like, a friend wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if Irma did that to you.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Yeah. Like, I would
Irma,
feel some type of way. Yeah, don't do that, Irma. No, for sure. I feel like I would feel some type of way too. Like, you're supposed to be my friend. And especially if she knew that you guys were in a relationship, it's kind of like, why are you kind of even giving her the idea of, like, oh, you can cheat or you can talk to someone else? That's where, like, you feel like she went wrong.
No, yeah.
When you called, was the friend hearing everything?
I assume so.
Because you were on FaceTime.
The call was probably not even 10 seconds long. Like, I just FaceTimed her. I seen where she was at. And she put the friend's little brother, like, on the screen. And I was like, bro, like, who is... Like, I was asking them. I was like, bro, who is this? Knowing damn well I knew who it was. And then before she hung up, she tilted her phone. and I seen something in the room, and I was like, I know exactly where she's at.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I was like, why are you with her? I'm like, I told you, like, you know, like, I'm gonna break up with you. And then she's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, she was like, no, like, this is not gonna happen. Like, nothing's wrong. Like, you know, she's like, she was basically like trying to make it seem like
you were overreacting type of
yeah.
thing?
And I'm like, yeah, I get it. You want to have friends and that, but like, if your friends are weird, that's weird, you know? Like, you can't be doing stuff like that. I was crashing out. It was so bad. I told her, I was like, dude, like, we're done. Like, if you want to like talk things out, like, we'll talk when you get home. She had gotten home, and then we were just talking about things, and then I think she was like, oh, so are we actually done? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, I thought you were joking.
Do you feel like because le perdonabas mucho, she wouldn't take you serious?
Yeah, at that moment, I was like, bro, I made myself look so stupid. You think I'm a joke? Like, that's how I felt. I felt like a straight up joke when she said that. And I was like, after that, I was like, damn. Like, in my head, I feel like that's how she saw me. Because she was like, oh, she's just going to forgive me if I do anything, you know? And then that happened, and then things ended.
Going through a breakup is really hard. Do you feel like it was super hard for you, or by that time that you guys did break up, were you already like emotionally detached?
Yeah, I was. I really was. I felt like things were just, I don't know if it was like the time in our lives or anything, but the cheating has no excuse. I was done, like, emotionally, like, because the thing is, it would happen every year around the same time of year. And every time it'd come around, I'd be like, I'm like, watch, it's gonna happen. And it happened every time. And then she'd always be like, no, like, it won't happen, this and that. And then I was like, bruh.
Your breakup was super public. The mom and her were really public about their side, or just in general, the breakup. Do you think it made it harder for you to like get through this breakup because it was not only were you dealing with it like in person, but also seeing everything that was going on online?
I feel like it wasn't. I feel like I was just so done. Because I felt like I was just so drained. Because I feel like it was just the same thing. I mean, like how she said in her video, we would argue like all the time, almost every day. It was just bad. Like my end, her end, you know? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm a victim. It was just me. Like, no, it was both of us. It just got so bad. It was so nice in the beginning, but it just got so bad.
It goes public. Did you guys have communication throughout that time, or was it very much like, okay, no communication anymore?
We did talk for a while. We were like, oh, like maybe in the future we can work something out. But I was kind of like, oh yeah, but at the same time I was like, I don't want to. Like, yo estaba like nomás diciéndolo por decirlo también, you know? Like, I meant it. I meant it, but I didn't mean it at the same time, you know? Because I was like, it's not going to change. Like, as much as I wanted to, it's not going to change. We had stopped talking. Like, we were completely done before she had made the video. And then I remember I was in class, and she had made a TikTok using the audio.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like in class, and I was like, LOL. I literally just said LOL. And then I showed my friends. I was like, bro, look. I was like, this is funny. And then I seen the video, and I was watching it, and I was like my genuine reaction was just like LOL. Like, you're so funny for this. Like, you know, like you'll have so much to say, but you don't want to say other stuff, you know? Like, you don't want to say that you cheated online, you know? Like, you want to, estás diciendo lo que te conviene.
Te conviene, yeah.
It was just crazy because people at school, like, they'd look at me weird. Not weird, but, like, they knew. And then there was this girl that I was talking to one of my friends, and I was telling her, I was like, yeah, like, we broke up or whatever, and I was like, yeah, we're done, this and that. And this girl, like, she'd watch us, and then she was like, oh my god, you guys actually broke up? And I was like, yeah, like, it's not pretend, like, we're actually done. And she was like, oh, really? Like, I didn't know, this and that. And I was like, yeah, like, oh, well.
Quiero platicar un poquito de la relación con tu ex-suegra. I think, you know, a big part of why the relationship was so public was because of her. You know, si mira un video donde ella dijo that, you know, whenever she would kind of go above and beyond on these videos, it was all kind of like talked about before. Was that true? And then also, platicanos un poquito de la relación con tu ex-suegra at the beginning, and when did you feel like it started becoming a little rocky?
She is a really good person. I feel like, I don't know if you had seen, I deleted this video because I want nothing to do, like, with them in my account. But it was this video of me saying, like how I felt about her and stuff. Oh, well, not just her, but like about everything. I really did like her. Like, I really did. About like it being skits and stuff, we like rarely talked about it before. She would just come up and start recording. And then in that video that I'm telling you about, where I was telling you how I feel, I had mentioned that I like sometimes like I was like all acostada, like long how and everything. Like imagine being like that, camera
Yeah.
like just in your face, you know? Like I really didn't like that, but it just kind of kept happening.
Did you ever make it known to your ex or to the mom that like, hey, like,
No, yeah, there was this one time where she made this video, and she actually made a video about that too. She had made this video of I don't know what I don't know what she was saying, but I was laying down, and then I was like, oh, like I said it in the video. I was like, oh, I don't want to be in the video. And then she was like, oh, I don't care, this and that. And then she posted it, I think like a month later. I had told my ex, I was like, oh, like, can you tell your mom to delete this video? Like, I really don't want it on the internet. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I'll tell my mom. And she told her mom, and her mom was like, no, I'm not going to take it down. And I was like, okay, like, that's weird, you know? Like, I'm telling you that I don't want it up there, and keeping it up there. And then my ex texted me. She was like, oh, my mom said if she can pay you to keep the video up. And I was like, no, like, I don't want that. And so she didn't delete it. She just kept the video up.
y no te pagó?
I mean, not that I was like, I want the money, you know, like,
Yeah.
like keep the video. Like, I just wanted the video down. Like, I was not interested in the money. I just didn't want that video up.
Did you ever feel like, your privacy was violated whenever you would see stuff on the internet that you didn't want out there?
Sometimes yes and no. Because, like I was saying, she would never really announce when she started recording. She just started, just had her phone. And it's like it's not like I was gonna be like, oh, like, stop, you know? I just remember, towards like, I want to say the last couple months of our relationship. I think it was when I was telling her mom to like, well, I was telling my ex to like tell her mom to take down that video. Her mom had told her, she was like, oh, she can't come over if I can't record her. So I would not go over. Like, I stopped going over to her house. Instead of going to her house, we just go out in public, you know? So it was like that. I was like, I don't care. Like, I just want to hang out with you, really, you know? Personally, I felt like social media really got to her. I guess, like, you know, like, obviously, if you're a content creator, it becomes your life.
Yeah.
But I think she took it too literal. Like, you don't have to record everything.
Because I feel like a lot of her content, too, was very heavily based on your guys' relationship,
No,
right?
yeah. And then what I also didn't like about it is that after we had broken up, she kept making videos about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you doing this? You know, like, why? Like, I seen people clip her, like, the lives, and then she was still talking about it, and I was like, just leave me alone, you know? Like, I want nothing to do with your daughter. Like, that means I want nothing to do with you, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate you and everything that you did for me, because she'd give me rides to school, pick me up from school, and drop me off. Like, I appreciate that. Like, I really do. I really do. But, like, you know, like, when you break up with someone, you're breaking up with their whole family. You know, it's not like I'm gonna keep in contact with her. After like that whole she didn't want me to go to her house if I wasn't like getting recorded. It just gave me a weird vibe. And then, like, in my head it was like, oh, that's all she wants. Like, she just wants
Content.
she just wants content, and it has to be me. Like, I have to be there. And then when me and my ex would go out, she would like kind of sometimes record in the car and stuff like that too. And I was like, can't even ride in the car or anything anymore.
We did see a lot of people online, state their opinion about how they felt, oh, she's so in love with her daughter. Did you ever feel that way, or do you feel like it really was content? Not like in love like that, but you know what I mean? Like, to like, because I did see a lot of comments where a lot of people, were coming for her saying like she's too metida. Like, let them, especially because, even before the breakup, I would see a lot of videos of where like she would kind of talk about things that like it looked clearly that you guys felt uncomfortable about that being exposed, algo que a lo mejor ustedes a lo mejor podían tener pláticas about like in private, but that she was airing it. Was that something that ever bugged you guys?
Yeah, well, at least me, it bugged me, because it's like, why can't we just talk about it in private? Because there was like a lot of times where they were like, oh, like, you need to apologize to her and this and that. And she'd start recording and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, this and this and that. And I'd be like, if this is the apology I get, at least I'm getting an apology, honestly.
So like it never felt sincere.
Yeah.
It always just felt for like the camera.
Yeah, even after we broke up, she texted me. texted me on Instagram, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I keep mentioning you in my videos." She was like, "I wish you the best in life. I'll stop mentioning you and this and that." And then like 3 days later, I see her posting like a video that's clearly towards me, you know?
Yeah.
It was just...
Did you ever reply to that message?
Yeah, I just said, I think I just said like, "Oh, thank you for everything. I just wish you guys the best too." And that was it.
Would you guys ever argue like bad about the mom? Or was it just something that you guys would just kind of be like, okay, like, yeah, anyways, like we're not gonna even take the time out of our day to fight over this?
No, I feel like the only time that we really did was over that one video that I'm telling you about. Like I was just over it, cuz I was like, why, like, you know, like why can't she just delete it? And then the part that bothered me the most is that I just knew that that video was going to blow up, and it did. And I was like, I don't want people seeing that, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's obviously me there, and it did blow up, and I was just like, what can I do?
Había visto un video donde, your ex, was stating the reason why on her end you guys broke up. Y en ese mismo video, porque estaban atacando a mucho a su mamá, aclaró que, the mom had nothing to do with the breakup. But do you feel like, with everything that was going on behind the scenes of how metida the mom was in your relationship, do you feel like it kind of did tarnish the relationship a little bit? Even if that wasn't the reason why you guys broke up, it kind of made the relationship rocky?
Yeah, I feel like somewhat it did affect our relationship. At least personally, I feel like that because I feel like everything was online. Everything was online. That's the thing that bothered me the most. Everything that I do at her house, it would be online. If we went out to eat, it was going to be online. If we went to the movies, it was going to be online. Yeah. And it was like, I can't just go watch a movie, just make my own little vlog or something, you know?
Did you ever feel like there was tension between you and the mom ever?
I feel like there definitely was after I was like, I don't want to be recorded. And then she was like, well, you can't come over. Definitely after that, there was some tension.
Quiero platicar de un TikTok, that you made, and it was referring to the nickname that was given to you, en donde tú ya no querías que te llamaran por ese nickname. Cuéntanos un poquito de eso. How was the nickname even created? ¿Y por qué era tan importante para ti decir, ¿saben qué? Ya dejé esa relación y quiero que dejen ese nickname ahí.
Honestly, how this all came to be was because when we first started dating, my hair was half blue. So they were like, oh, like Smurfette type of thing, like pitufa.
Like pitufa, uh-huh.
So that's how it started. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's cute, because I had blue hair. And then it stuck even when I like dyed my hair different colors. I feel like that was definitely like a big thing in the relationship. So I was like, I don't want to be called that because that's associated with that. Like I really just want nothing to do with that. I want nothing to do with that. So I was like, just call me Mari or something. And now everyone's calling me Mari. I was in class and I was like, like I hate that people are calling me this and that. And then my friend was like, why don't you just make a video saying about it? And I was like, you're right. And I was like, shout out to Shelby. I don't know why I didn't think about making a video about it. And that happened. And then everyone was like, oh my God, this and that. Like, okay, Mari, I see you, this and that. And it was crazy. Because I was like, I thought people were just going to be like, nah, I don't care. I'm going to keep
You're like, shut up. You're like, keep it moving.
No, literally. And I was just going to be like, oh, okay. But it like low-key blew up.
It did. I saw it. And I literally saw the comments when I saw it. I was like, okay, girl, Mari, it is. Like you said, I think it is important, because like you said, you didn't want anything to associate with that. Obviamente, when you guys broke up, se hicieron muchos rumores, people started speculating, especially because you weren't very vocal right after, about the breakup, uno de los rumores que sí miré, and I saw people tagging me, habían dicho que tú ya estabas en otra relación, que ya tenías acá otro boo, que esto, otro. Cuéntanos un poquito de eso. Is that true? If so, how did that come to be?
So this person that you guys all know now, we had dated in the past. I remember like we had broken up or whatever. And she started following me. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't follow her back. That's the thing. Because I was like, why are you following me? This is weird,
And this was all after the breakup,
no,
right?
No, yeah, okay. After. Like, I didn't cheat. Not me. But she followed me and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I told my friend at school, I was like, oh, like she followed me. What do I do? I'm scared, It was just weird.
I
Like,
think timing too, you're like, oh my God, like, what does this mean?
I'm like, is this
yeah.
a I really thought it was a setup. I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna lie.
I would have thought that too. Like, oh, I'm gonna get exposed.
No,
Yeah.
I still did, but I was telling my friend, I was like, dude, like, I'm scared. Like, why is she following me, like, out of nowhere? She was like, oh, like, just follow her back. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, this is a setup. I literally told her, I was like, this is a setup.
And your ex knew of this person too?
Yeah. 'Cause I had not talked to that ex in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, you know, like a week goes by, like a few days, and then I stalked her and she unfollowed me, and I was like, damn, this is sad. And then I texted her because I was like, I need to know like what's going on. And I texted her and I was like, oh, like, why'd you follow me and then unfollow me? It was on Instagram. And then she was like, oh, I just wanted to see how you were doing. And I was like, okay. And then we just started texting.
Are you guys like just talking right now?
Yeah.
That's good. I feel like, I think especially with social media people, because I did see people even comment like, oh, she moved on too quick. But it's like you said, you were already mentally and emotionally checked out prior to the breakup, that it was like anything after tú puedes hacer lo que tú quieras. Obviamente, with the whole breakup, se escucharon muchos rumores and a lot of things were speculated. Is there anything else that you heard or that people are assuming about you that you'd want to clear out?
Everybody thought I was dating that other girl. I don't know if you've seen. It's this mask. I forgot what her name is. I don't know if you've seen her. She has like guinea pigs or something.
No idea, but
Yeah, because she had commented on one of my TikToks and I commented back. And then I seen this TikTok on my feed. She's like, oh, Maricsa's new boo, this and that. And this girl has a whole girlfriend. And I was like, no, like, don't start something that's not like it, And then she made a whole video about it too. And I was like, I felt so bad. So I'm like, like, obviously, like, yo no quiero nada contigo type of thing. Honestly, I feel like that's probably the only thing. Have you seen anything? Do you have questions?
I think pretty much you kind of answered everything. I think like, especially on your end, I do feel like one of the biggest things that I did see was, the fact that se escuchaba mucho that you wouldn't let this person have friends. But now that you explained, the constant cheating, and it was also kind of linked to the friends that she had, it all makes sense. Obviamente para que, because I'm very big on friends, right? But like you said, if my friends were literally like poniéndole cizaña a mi novio, like, oh, I'm gonna, I have this other friend that thinks you're cute, le voy a mandar tus fotos, I would feel some type of way. Ya para terminar la plática of this whole relationship thing, going through a breakup isn't easy. What's a piece of advice you can give to anyone watching at home that is currently going or has gone through a breakup and feel like there's no, light at the end of the tunnel?
Just trust God. I feel like I've gotten really into God after we broke up too. I don't know why, but I feel like you just have to let go and let God.
Yeah.
That's what I've been seeing a lot. Just let go and let God.
Ya para terminar on a positive note, porque yo sé que allá la gente querían ver el chisme, pero yo también quiero saber de otras cosas that you have going on in your life. Literally, esta semana te graduaste from Cosmetology School, en donde te recibiste as a nail technician. Cuéntanos un poquito de eso. What made you get into nails? And how was like the whole, school process when it came down to like enrolling y todo eso?
So, honestly, I literally had no idea what I wanted to do after high school. So, because I literally didn't even know I was going to graduate high school till like 3 months before. I think you needed like 230 credits to graduate. My counselor was so done with me because he was like, you can go to like an alternative school. You can get into all these programs. And I was like, nah, I don't want to. Because I was in a theater program in high school that I like loved so much. Yeah. And I didn't want to leave it. If I wanted to do those classes, I had to leave the program. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. He changed it and he made me do the state minimum, which is 170 credits. So I did that and that's how I graduated. Like I literally finished it like 2 months before and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to graduate. This is crazy. I literally had no idea what I wanted to do because all the college things were due like months before.
Yeah, because I think they start like in January or in December. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like to be in school for another 4 years, I was like, I can't do that. Like I can't do that. I was just like, I can either do cosmetology or become like a nail tech. I always thought it was like cute and like how they do it. And it's also really good money because I had to go into debt to go there because like it's a lot of money. And if I had went for cosmetology, I'd be in debt 10 grand. Yeah, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be in debt 10 grand. Hell no. And then for nails, it was 6 grand. I was like, that sounds a lot better, So I ended up doing the nails, and my experience there was so fun. I had this one teacher, but something happened, so we got a new one. And I love that teacher so much. She's so cool because she was a student there. So I had met her when she was a student, and then she became like the nail teacher because she was a licensed nail tech. She like made the experience there so much better. She was like a teacher and a friend. Like she would tell us stuff about her life, we would tell her about our life, and it was just it was just so fun.
How long was the course?
It was from August to December because it's only 600 hours that you have to be there.
Did you have to take a test to like get like certified, or what was that like
No,
towards the end?
for that, you being there for those 600 hours is your certification, but you need to be licensed to do that, and that's a whole different thing that you have to take with the state.
Y
And
también cobra, ¿no?
yeah, that test, I think it's like $100 and something. In Modesto, like the closest ones are like Sacramento, San Francisco, and that's like over an hour away for us. Like to go there for a test, honestly, if I would take it right now, I feel like I wouldn't pass it. So like,
So you can't even do it online?
no, you have to be there because they're really strict. Like you can't have your phone, your keys. No puedes tener suéter. No, like nothing loose. Like no, like smartwatches or anything like that. And then if you pass, they like take a picture of you, and then like you get your license that day.
Do you want to like eventually do that so you can start doing nails?
No, yes, I do. I just feel like I need to study more.
I heard it's more of like the actual, because in escuela I'm sure they teach you how to do them.
Yeah.
But I think the test is more about like the
Yeah, it's about like the skin diseases, like stuff that can happen, different types of infections that you can get, infection control, like how to keep your stuff clean and how to maintain them like clean and like stuff like that really.
Y todo eso no te lo enseñan like in your hours?
No, yes, they do, but we had to do it like online. So, and I'm not good at doing stuff like online. Like if I see it on the screen, like se me va a ir.
Yeah.
They do give us like a book, so, and we get to keep the book too. So I'm just gonna go through the book.
You just kind of need to study.
No, yeah, because I don't want to take it and then fail it and then have to go again. So I'd rather just study, like know like everything and then take it.
Amigas, en un ratito van a verla haciendo uñas. I'm gonna book my appointment because look at my sad ass nails. Show them yours though. Miren, you guys. Se vino lista para estar en Noche de Pendejadas. Amo, amo, amo. Ya para terminar esta entrevista, I want to ask you the last question I always finish off with. ¿En dónde te miras tú en los próximos 5 años?
I want to be hopefully living on my own. Hopefully. I want to own a house, but I don't think, well, manifesting. Manifesting. Hopefully I can get a house in such a short period of time. I've always wanted to start a family young, and I've always wanted to get married young. Because my dad's older, and I want, you know. So hopefully that, we'll see what happens.
Vamos a ver, amigas, vamos a tener que estar pendientes a ver en dónde la lleva en estos 5 años. And I know any goals that you do, you know, end up having along the way, los vas a cumplir.
Possibly starting YouTube.
Yeah, no, you need to start YouTube, especially if TikTok gets banned. Imagínate.
I have like 1 subscriber, it's gonna be you.
I'm like, at least it's 1. It could be 1 or 0. No, honestly, you guys, you know what? Make a YouTube account, and I will leave it linked down below, just even if you don't post yet, just so they can go subscribe and start subscribing, porque amiga, por si se va a TikTok, tienes que monetizar y tienes que, aunque sea, sacarle un poquito a eso. Because I do always say, I'm a big YouTube person, like you said too. Like, even though you see me on TikTok, Instagram, I've always been a big believer on YouTube. You know, I've always been like, if you are consistent on YouTube and you upload and you really do create this loyal, support system, you're set up. And I really do believe I've been doing this almost for 10 years. I might not be the most popular on YouTube, pero lo que yo siempre agradezco, thank you. Lo que yo siempre agradezco es que me va bien y a la gente les gusta verme. And I feel like, you know, I'm so blessed in that sense, but I always say YouTube is where it's at. So, vayan y síganla, amigas. With that being said, thank you once again so much for being here with us today. And thank you guys so much for watching. Si no la han seguido, amigas, ahí les voy a dejar our social medias on the screen as well as down below para que vayan y la siguen. Y no se les olvide seguirme a mí so you guys won't miss any future episodes. And with that being said, thank you once again.
Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. Yay!